happens then is that we
This
do a
meeting is
virtual
being
survey.
recorded.
Right. So either they come, either the surveyor comes to your home and goes through it with you, or over the last couple of years, it's become very popular to do video surveys, where like via Zoom or WhatsApp or whatever the service that that they're working with. They do that, or we do that, or I do that.
Yeah, you walk around your house and say, you want to take this, you want to take this, you want to take this, you want to take this. And then we do the gross calculations. It'll give you a big.
I'm having a hard time hearing you. You're kind of soft,
Yeah.
your voice.
You know how to use the speaker?
There. How's that? Is that better?
That's really loud.
Oh. It modified itself because I talk louder than she does, so it automatically adjusts the volume.
I think now you're good. Now you're good. Start
You have
again.
to talk louder.
Tikva. I saw Rivka over there. Yeah. Tikva, you're saying.
Oh, I was just saying that it's just simple as taking your phone and doing a walkthrough, saying which things you want to bring with you. And then we get a basic idea.
Yeah, that's basically it. In general, there's let's say a 10% discrepancy, plus or minus, of what the volume is going to be. The advantage of having someone in home is you can put together like a maybe list. You show them the things you definitely want to take, and then put on the side some things that you might want to take. Those could be flagged as maybes and could be added in or just incorporated as you feel the need to add or subtract.
Well, that's good.
That makes sense?
Yeah, we've been trying to, shelf by shelf, going through books and boxing up the ones we know we're not going to take. It's like that was an easy starting point, I guess next would go to clothing, dishes, Pesach stuff.
We made Aliyah 8.5 years ago. And when we were preparing for Aliyah, David would use this term, slimming down the house. So all the time we'd say, we're slimming down the house. So we would just go through everything. We got to slim down the house because homes in Israel are smaller and there isn't really that much storage. And you realize once you get here, you've still brought way too much.
Yeah.
Often.
Yeah.
Before we made Aliyah, we moved from Detroit to Miami, North Miami Beach, where you don't have basements in Miami. So we had to slim down our house considerably because in the basement, you just collect so much stuff. And there's just, there was just no place to put it when we got to Florida. It was then that I realized like Israel just seemed to be the next logical step. Because we had it's like the basement's like roots. It's like a materialistic roots that just kind of like anchors you with possessions, and it's really hard to sift through it and get everything out that you don't need. That's not essential or not important.
Yeah, but make sure that you have your keepsakes with you because that's going to be important. Another really important thing are children's toys. Those are hard to replace, and children are attached to their toys. And Yocheved, you had a question?
Yes, so I guess getting on this subject is like bringing stuff. So like I hear different things about like kitchen appliances. Like there's a couple things that I know I don't want to part with. Like I know like my Bosch mixer, my Vitamix, and probably 3 things really, and my little food processor. So there's other things like coffee stuff. I know that could be replaced, whatever. But I'm just wondering like what's better? Like if people say, well, you should get a transformer, and I know we can't have like a plata or an urn because it's an overnight thing, so it's better to buy it there. So I feel like there's so much information out there that I don't know what.
Yeah, that's really a good question. If you ask it on Facebook, you'll find this almost like a 50-50 split on what people recommend. So yeah, if you do bring things, you will need a transformer. If you're bringing things that you definitely like, then you're going to get a transformer. It seems reasonable maybe if you want to buy other things as well, if you're already going to have the transformer.
I'm looking for it.
As far as the longevity of the appliances on the 220 voltage, it's really might be negligible because like a lot of appliances that you use in the kitchen aren't on like all the time, like I don't know, like a computer. Computers are on for hours and hours and hours and hours. Your blender's on for a couple minutes. Your mixer's on for maybe 5-10 minutes at a time. So these are pretty negligible amounts of wear and tear with the hertz difference. So yeah, I think it seems reasonable. If you're going to do it, you might want to get more, but you know, it's really your decision.
What did you do, Marcy? Did you bring
So-
appliances?
So we did. We brought our KitchenAid, which was great. It ended up dying after a couple of years, but nothing to do with the power here. They're very, very expensive. And to get a good transformer is going to be expensive as well, but it might be, I think, a decent investment. If you have the room on your lift, I would say bring your appliances that you really like, but nothing crazy. Like I hear people saying they want to bring a washing machine. I mean, everything's different here. Washing machines, first of all, we don't have hot water that enters the machine. The machine heats up the water. So it
Right.
does work differently here in Israel. So don't bring things like that. Refrigerators, anything like Yitzchak said, you don't want things that are be running constantly. And also check your appliances. Some of them might actually say 110, 220, or 240, and all you need is a small converter, the small little adapter piece, and you don't need the whole transformer. But something like a KitchenAid, and make sure you get a transformer that has heavy enough wattage or voltage. I'm not sure which one it is. You don't want to burn it out, but it was definitely worth it. And I would say if you have the room on your lift, if you don't stress about it, because once appliances and things started dying out, I actually felt more comfortable having the Israeli versions here. I felt like, you know, I didn't have to look for my plug in the transformer. The thing weighs a ton. I cannot lift it. You need to have a driver or a car, and if you're gonna go buy one, take you there, because you can't, and a very strong person.
It's
So
very dense. It's like a block, basically.
yeah. I think if you don't have appliances, buy them here in Israel. If you have them already, get the transformer if there's room on the lift. Yeah.
And my Bosch is 25 years old. It makes grinding sounds, although it works great, but I don't think that's worth bringing. Can I buy one that is the proper voltage? Order it online from over here? Is it, you know, I know they're expensive in Israel. I don't know if it's cheaper to buy it here for there.
Okay, so I don't know how much it is here. My
They're
KitchenAid
probably
did break down.
$400 and some here. They're not
Okay.
cheap.
So I'm not sure how much they are here. My KitchenAid broke down, and long story short, somebody ended up giving me one for free. One of my neighbors, somebody was getting rid of it. It's not the best. It's whatever, but it works. It makes challah and bakes cake. It's fine. There are some stores that sell 220 voltage products in America, and in Israel, though, you will have a warranty. Although I don't know if stores will try to fight it. And if you are looking to buy appliances and you're making Aliyah in the summer, just know that before Rosh Hashanah is when all these sales happen, and before Pesach. So if you're thinking about getting like a new appliance in like March, wait another month till Pesach, and that's when the big sales go on. It's kind of nice. We have our holiday sales here.
What do we have about that?
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
holidays are appropriate for our lives,
Right.
which really is a lot of fun.
Right. That's what's really great. It's like we're celebrating our own holidays. There is a website that gives a nice explanation about electricity and voltage and what to bring and what not to bring. I'm just looking up the website. I've suggested this a few times. It's written by an electrician here in Israel, and I'm just looking for it. So when I find it, I'm going to post it in the comments.
Yeah, that's something that I want to say is that it's really, really fun because the whole country does the holidays according to us as Jews. Even the people who are consider themselves secular, they still have Rosh Hashanah dinner. They're still doing Yom Kippur. They're still doing Pesach. I mean, you see people in like, you know, jeans and t-shirts buying their matzah for Pesach. I mean, it's just
Beautiful.
like that. It's a Jewish country with Jewish people doing Jewish things. There's, you know, we don't really see all that other stuff that happens all the time. It just doesn't exist.
No.
And I mean, you know, so that's just so fun, you know, I mean, you know, December 24th, 25th, whatever it is, comes and goes with barely a notice. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think people have to mute so that we don't hear all the background noise. Okay,
Yeah,
we have a
people can
question.
mute if they don't have, unless they're talking.
All right, can we talk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay. Hi there.
Hi.
I'm Yaakov. This is my wife, Matana.
Hi.
We're here in
Hi.
Pittsburgh. How are you?
Good.
Greetings. Quick question. My wife wanted to know how many people from, I guess, where they're, if you want to call it your staging points, when you came to Israel to begin with, how many people have migrated on from there to other places in Israel? And how long was that transitional period, if you did, from the community that you first landed in?
Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great question. We came directly to where we live now, but we only live in a different house.
So,
Others, we had a large influx when the Go North program was going on. So we had a large influx of people that came in. They built up a community, a relatively small group together, like maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 families. They started a small Beit Knesset and everything. And then slowly everyone just sort of migrated into other places. Some people went to the Merkaz. Most people went to the Merkaz. Sometimes people go back, but in general, a lot of times people will stay in a place for a while until they find another place that really works for them, and then they'll get settled.
Yeah, David and David,
Yeah.
you can tell your story.
Yeah, so I remember before I made Aliyah, I said to David, let's just get here and land and maybe we could figure it out. But we did choose a place that we thought we liked and might be a good place for our family. And we started off in Ma'ale Adumim. And it's a wonderful place, but we did want to move somewhere a little more green and we wanted to go up north. It took us a while. We have 4 kids and it's, you know, it's also hard to pick up the kids and go. And you know, it's the same thing when you're living in America and trying to make it to Israel. You always kind of think of excuses why not to go until you actually pull the trigger and do it. So we were kind of feeling the same thing in Ma'ale Adumim. Like, we're really comfortable here. We like it. We have friends, but we did want, you know, we wanted something more affordable as well. And we finally said, okay, let's do it. And it took us 8 years. I have no regrets. We had a wonderful time where we were, and we just recently moved 6 months ago up north. We live in Ma'alot. And I see it happening often. People, they are not sure of the community they move into. You're just making friends for the first time. You want to see that your kids are adjusting. And it's people do it all the time.
I'm not so sure that if we had moved directly to Ma'alot, that it would have been exactly right for us. Somehow, having already made Aliyah to Ma'ale Adumim, and then making the move here, we're way more adjusted. Maybe the Israeli culture, maybe the language.
If I can just add to that, we're very happy. Malo,
Yeah.
Yitzchak, and Tikva are here. They never left. They started here and they're still here. But when we made Aliyah almost 9 years ago, I think there was very little for Anglos and Malo, and now we have a lot more. So when we're saying had we started off here 9 years ago, I don't know if it was right. Starting off here today, I think we would have been okay.
Does that sort of touch upon your question, Yaakov?
Yes, certainly. Another one in that case. You did so well in the first one. I'm going to give you a second one. Realistically speaking, for a pilot trip, what duration of time would you give it? A week, 10 days, 14 days? What is, if you want, putting together an itinerary that's not going to kill you, but on the other hand, get you, I guess, satiated for, for your curiosity as to what you want to get seen, and how to do so. Do you go ahead and if you want to call it pre-qualify contacts in all the different communities that you want to go to? I mean, nowadays, obviously, you can get the Egged bus schedule and the light rail schedule down to the minute, essentially. But realistically speaking, if one person is going to go, one spouse is going to go on a pilot trip, what would you suggest? A week, 10 days, 2 weeks, so on and so forth?
So I think it really depends. You know, first of all, are you coming just the 2 of you? Are you coming with a family? Just one person going, or
one person?
So
we came for 3 weeks.
But
actually.
we made it a vacation. We were visiting my grandfather and my family, so it wasn't like strictly pilot trip.
Right. Okay.
But we were here for a while. I would suggest first figure out the top 4 communities you want to check out. Maybe 5, but too many makes it really complicated and makes you really confused. So maybe 4 or 5 tops. Figure out those communities you want to see.
Schools,
and look up contacts in those communities and spend a day in each one. So that would be already 5 days of your trip. And then while you're here, you might be speaking to people, you might find out about other places. So I would say for a short pilot trip, do 10 days.
If I could say on that point, when we did our pilot trip, Mile de Mim was not on the map for us. It was an accident.
It was an accident that
And
we got here.
we went up north to Malo, we went down south, we went to the center, we went everywhere, and somebody invited us to like a Thanksgiving meal or something in Mile de Mim. We just went, wow.
And the rest is history, right?
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, so
That's
there's
pretty much
really
what we
no
had.
right or wrong with how you do your
Right.
pilot trip. And where Hashem puts you might be totally different than where you think you're going.
And keep in mind, it doesn't have to be the first place you guys decide on landing is where you end up necessarily. Also, keep that an open mind.
Right.
It's hard to hit it right on the nose.
Yeah, well, I can say sometimes things look great on paper, like a shit off looks so good on paper, and you meet, and it's just not for you. So same thing with the place. I am an emotional person, so I also have to go to the area, the land. I have to feel it and kind of connect with it. So everyone's different, but yeah, that's I say about 10 days for a short pilot trip.
All right, sounds about right. Beyond that, I think I'm going to come back to a mushroom cloud of a house. Beyond that.
Right.
On a different note, we're going to be going to Afula. Is it worth bringing clothing for cold weather? We really don't
yeah,
know.
you
I know
need
there's probably wool sweaters are good in those hard tile floor places, right?
Oh,
Can I say
yeah.
Good.
Oh,
There's a
yeah.
couple.
But it's
There's a
not
couple
as cold in Afula as it is in Ma'alot. I can tell you that because you're on the
But-
flatlands there. But
Right.
you definitely need your sweaters. 100%. You see, I have a nice warm sweater here.
Get used to these
100% need
things.
your
These are
sweaters.
the best things ever. Hot water bottles. I didn't even know what it was before I moved to Israel. But you put boiling water in there, put it in your bed, and it is toasty.
On Friday night, you just set that and forget it.
Yep,
Let it,
Wow.
it's
The
true.
buildings get very cold.
We live in caves. We
Okay.
live in
So
caves.
if I could just say about the caves, the buildings in Israel are meant to keep cool. It's hotter most of the year, so it's keeping cool even in the winter. And
You're gonna want to bring nice slippers too, for the winter. Slippers are crucial. See, I can't stand, one of my pet peeves is like living in a home that's cold, where you're really
Me
cold.
too.
So we're actually, I'm gonna hopefully be installing like a wood burning stove in our living room here. Cause we want to just be cozy. And in the States, you're used to coming in from the cold into a nice warm house. It's just not so.
And the same in the summer. I mean, in America, you walk into the mall in the
And
summer,
your eyes
or you walk into a home or your own home, and you feel like you need to put on a sweater in America. Here, just be prepared. The air conditioning takes off the edge.
just off the edge. That's it.
But you get
Wow.
used to it. By the second year, you'll be fine. You won't even
I don't
notice.
even use air conditioning.
No,
We don't even use it.
Well,
How?
Is it dry
is it
where
in
you
the
are?
For us.
we have cross ventilation.
Yeah, we built the house so that we get the sea breeze that comes straight through our house on both floors. And that
It'll be s-
way we get
yeah.
really good cross ventilation and we have ceiling fans.
Depending on where you live in Israel, there are places that are very dry. Obviously, we're going to be near the coast. It's quite muggy, so it depends. But like in Mile de Mim, where we were, it's dry and the ceiling fan is awesome.
you needed an air conditioning as well, though. It's hot. It was
Well,
definitely hot.
right. So
But a few things to know, like when it gets rainy in Israel, it rains. It rains hard. So if you have rain boots, pack them. Don't get rid of them. Definitely take your rain boots. Take like a nice winter coat. You might not wear it that much, but when you need it, you'll be glad that you brought it with you.
Yeah, I wear my
Why
lighter winter
why is
coat
there
from
no
America.
carpeting? Is it because the air is sandy? Is that why there's no carpeting?
Yeah, when there's a sandstorm that comes in, you'll see it in the house. You'll see. So when
you like,
I don't know about here because we've only been in Malo for
Yeah,
6
we
months.
get it,
Male
we get it.
Demim is a desert. So
Yeah,
the windows were closed, everything was closed, there was sand on the floor.
Wow.
maybe it's also just a
A
cultural
little
thing.
bit, there
you're
was.
making it sound like a beach or something.
No, not that much, but you felt a little, grainy on the floor.
Right.
Half the year it's hot. And then you have like a couple of months where it's cold in the house, but hot outside. And then you have, it's cold inside and
Yeah.
outside.
He'll be back. Okay, he's got to pick up our son at B'nai Akiva.
See you later, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Is it
Okay.
worth bringing a car?
Well, that's more of a shipping question, but I don't think it is worth shipping a car, but they can help you with that.
I don't
It really
recommend,
depends
it
on,
really just
it-
depends.
yeah, we can't say either way. We know how to ship a car if you really want to ship a car.
Yeah.
I've heard that the fees can be outrageous, the taxes can be outrageous. Also, you want to make sure it's a car that will be serviced in Israel. Not all
Exactly.
cars are, so
Mhm.
you really want to look into that.
Yep.
Although the price of cars are really going up nowadays, even used cars, so maybe look into that. I don't know.
Yeah, do your research on that one. Because that's a big decision.
Steve, you have a question?
Steve,
You
you
got-
have to unmute your microphone.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm more interested right now. How complicated is it to get your lift out of the port and those fees and everything like that and the whatever duties that might be paid? Is that a major undertaking, or is that something that Aliyah lift processes for you, or how complicated a procedure is that?
Sure, so that's really an easy answer, a really easy question. There are administratively, there's a couple forms you have to complete. One's the power of attorney allowing us to handle your delivery because we don't have legal access to your shipment. And the other one's the customs import declaration. That is really just a brief version of your inventory and the approximate values that you assign to them. If you have Ola Hadash rights, it's really negligible as far as what values you put down, so to speak, as long as it's within reason. So administratively, there's the forms that you have to complete. And beyond that, there is, assuming there's no inspections, which seems to be a little bit more than it used to be these last couple of years. No, it's basically delivered usually within a week from arrival.
Okay. And the timetables that you may be given, or you can rely on those, or are they fairly?
Yes, in general, yes. I mean, things like port strikes will hold things up. Not even, I don't think the wars even affected anything the last time that we had a war, or the last few times since we've been here in 2009, there's been a number of wars, and it hasn't really affected the deliveries or anything. And Ashdod is right next to Gaza. So in general, there's really not an issue. Sometimes it gets delivered before a week and sometimes a little bit after a week, but in general, it's about a week. Everything's pretty, that whole process is relatively seamless as far as the applying of rights. If you have rights as an Ola Hadash, then they're in the system, customs knows, they check, they see, they apply that to your after reviewing the customs import declaration, and then they spit out an inventory or I'm sorry, invoice with usually just zeros. That makes sense?
Yes, thanks.
Here's I guess most people have this question. I know that their apartments come with walls, not closets. What I know we have to buy like some kind of armoires or something. What do you do with hanging clothes? Do people bring poles and things? I don't know how to
It
manage
comes
this.
with your closet. You go to
That's
a
in the hanging
store
section.
and you buy a closet, and the closet has the hanging rod.
Okay.
Yeah,
And one
it
other-
comes. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, you know what, I was just thinking, you could check out a few websites like IKEA, type in IKEA Israel, just to have an idea of what the closet looks like. But, you know, there could be drawers or cubbies and a hanging area. So it has that in there.
And can you buy English books? We realized we love going to the library, and can we get English books there?
Oh, we were just talking about the library yesterday, about how if we would have bought over the years that we've been married, if we would have bought everything that I've read or that we've read or the kids have read, you know, we'd have like millions of books, right? But so no, here, okay, the local bookstore has a limited selection of English books. And you can go to them and ask them for a particular book, and they will see if they can bring it in for you. If they can't, then you simply order from a place like the Book Depository.
Yeah, just put that in here. I'm putting,
And books are really super, super important to me because I always have to have a good book to read because I just, I'm a reader. And also for like gifts for the grandchildren to make sure that they keep getting things in English.
yeah,
So if you can't find it locally at your Steinmetzky, which is like a major brand of book chain here, then you just order it from England and it takes a few weeks.
whoever, just to answer the question about needing an Israeli address before you send your shipment. No, you do not. Most people do not need, well, they don't need the destination address where you're going to be living, because obviously most people don't have a place by the time at the time they book their shipment. We will need, or your shipping company will need an address of some sort, whether it's just a temporary address, a friend's address, anything like that, it's definitely needed. Export documents require it to some extent, and definitely import documents require an address. And to answer your other question, yes, you can change it, obviously.
I put in the website for the electricity. There's a whole question and answer part, so you can read it. It's megavolts.com.
I think we used that
megavolts.co.il.
too. We used it when we came.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really informative. It's great. Also about books, Amazon ships not everything, but there's a lot that's shipped on Amazon. And within your community, people sometimes do swaps or get-togethers, and books. You read it once and then you pass it along. So you'll find a lot of English books if you look for them. Anything else anyone's curious about? Well, okay. Just a little thought here. When you get to Israel, it's a very emotional time. That's something that, like I waited a while to make Aliyah, and, you will go through ups and downs. Just something to keep in mind that, don't let it get to you when you have those down moments, because it's totally normal. There's things that you'll start to not understand, bituach leumi, and which kupat cholim, and what to do. And you don't understand what the second grade math homework means in Hebrew, and your neighbor's kids hardly speak English. I mean, so you go through a lot, but it's totally normal. And we've all been through it. And we've all been through it, and you'll get past it. And you just, try to keep your spirits up and just remember the big picture.
Right.
How can we find out about the Kupat Cholim that are in the area where we're going? I mean, I'm on these chats and I hear a lot about Ramat Beit Shemesh, but we're going to Afula, so that is really not helpful to us.
Okay, so what you do is you ask the people that are in Afula when you get there. You'll say, okay, where's the place that has the best services in this city? You ask them, which is it Maccabi or Clalit or whatever that has, English speaking doctors. Almost all doctors speak English because, they've been through medical school. So they generally speak English. But if you want, let's say, an English speaker as a native English speaker, you'll just ask and say, which place in Afula has a native English speaker or the person with the best English.
Rabbi Kadel, who's organizing the Afula community, does he have any suggestions of Kupat Cholim? Maybe you can ask him. He may have asked around already to see which might be the best for the community. And I don't know if there are any Facebook groups, because I know there aren't a lot of Anglos yet in Afula. So, but if there are any English speaking, or if you speak some Hebrew and join an Israeli Facebook group, just ask, which Kupat Cholim do you recommend? And you can put that into Google Translate.
Yes.
If you can't write it out in Hebrew.
The same thing also applies to banks. People ask a lot of questions about what banks are good banks to use. Well, we actually just kind of used the one that we were taken to because the person who showed us around happened to have a very good experience, and we also did as well. And most of the other Olim that he took showed around the neighborhood. Also, he took there as well. But it's important to find a bank that you feel comfortable with, that you can communicate with. And I think preferably if you try to find, well, probably not so much in some of the bigger cities, but a small bank, because a smaller bank, because the person that you bank with, they're going to be your banker. They're like your private banker, so to speak. I remember our banker, she knew our account number by heart. I mean, like it's a 6-digit number, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that she knew the account number by heart. She was really good. She knew English, and she was really good. She was really efficient and really polite and really nice to work with.
Yeah, and there's a weird thing, isn't it, that we can't pay our mortgage in another branch?
Right. So
It's a weird, funny thing.
So if you have a bank in, like, let's say Sneef, let's say the branch is number 52, wherever that is, I'm just hypothetically, you can't go to another branch and ask them about your account because they will tell you like nothing. You can't go to Jerusalem if your bank is in Ma'ale Adumim and say, can you tell me about my account? How much money you could have all your proof?
She did because she's
Right.
in a different bank.
We moved from Ma'ale Adumim to Ma'alot, and I went to the branch here in Ma'alot. They told me I don't have to switch my branch, and she was able to help me with everything. So I don't know if things changed.
No, just a simple inquiry. I remember our bank is here in Ma'alot, and I went to a bank in Nahariya to ask a question, and they're like, I can't help you.
Errands,
And I think we were looking at mortgage or whatever it was, but either way, we went to another bank and asked a question about our account, and like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. You have to go to your own bank. Yeah, I mean, some people might spin that as a really negative thing about Israel, but I just figure, they have their protocol, they have their security, they have, the banker is your banker, and kafa, that's just what it is. Israel at one time was small townish in a sense. Now it's big, it's grown up, it's gotten bigger, but still some of the small town flavors or small town aspects still apply. And when we, hold on one more second before I forget, because I already forgot once, when we wanted a loan for a car, because at the beginning they go north gave us money for cars, et cetera, but we needed to have a little bit more for the car. We got a loan within like 10 minutes. We had our account for like 6 months or something like that. She made a call, and within like 10 minutes, we had the loan approved. That's just your personal banker. That's the relationship that you have. You treat them nicely, you treat them respectfully. If they know English, that's all the better. And you can find that speaking English and being an American, if you're a nice person, will earn you a degree of distinction and people will remember you. I remember going to the post office. The Arab postal lady, she knows my name. She would call me when something came in that I was expecting. I mean, she would write, she'd have this whole scrap of this paper with people's names and numbers and stuff on there. It's small towny like that. And you will be remembered as in distinction in a positive way, because Israelis are all over the place, but an American Israeli is an Ola Hadash that's really nice. Oh, that's a great thing. And people are willing to go out of their way to help you in that, like that.
Yeah, I have one thing to add that's kind of like that, is that, how when we live in America, we have our Hamisha community, right, guys? You have your community. So when you make Aliyah, you are trading in that small Hamisha community for a giant Hamisha community. And if you keep that in the back of your head or the forefront of your head, that all these people in the whole country now belong to your Hamisha community.
They're part of your network.
That aids your transition.
Yeah. And also for jobs as well.
For sure.
Many people, all of our kids have gotten jobs through either connections or just being within the system. So the more you know people, the more people you meet, that expands your marketability or your chances of employment or finding this or finding that. It's really important to integrate as much as possible.
Because it's all just one giant Hamisha network.
one big family.
I want to add to that. Now, I had more of this when we first met Aliyah because people must have noticed how lost and confused I looked wherever I went. But people would stop and I tell them I'm new here. And I can't tell you how many people gave me their phone numbers, like religious, not religious, on the bus, in the street. Here, just call me. I was in the middle of Jerusalem. I don't know where I'll ever see this woman again, but she gave me her number. Call me if you need anything. In the mall, there's a store called Magnolia. They just sell jewelry, mostly silver. And I don't know, I said something to the woman like, yeah, I'm from America and sometimes I can't even understand my kids' homework. She said, bring it to me, I'll help you. You came from America. Like, you'd be surprised how many people, I didn't ever go back to her with the homework, but you'd be surprised how many people actually will just say, they're just thrilled that you made Aliyah, that you're part of Israel, and they really, come out and they'd love to offer help.
That's true. It
Yeah.
is so true. So don't be shy.
No, don't be shy.
Don't be shy. If you need something, you can just drop it, just go to your Israeli neighbor, call them, whatever. Don't be shy. They're not expecting you to be shy. They're expecting you to be forthright and tell what you need.
And they are forthright and they will tell you whatever's on their mind. So
That's
if they ask
right.
you, how much do you pay for rent? Wow, that's a lot. Don't be surprised. Wow, did you just buy that? How much was it? That's just the way they are. It's a cultural thing. They don't mean anything by it. And at first I was like, why is she asking me? But then, it's just the way it is here. It's a cultural thing.
Yeah, and you talk about who you vote for.
Yes.
You don't keep that secret from nobody.
Right. No, people post on Facebook their voting petic.
Do they ask how old you are or and your
They'll
weight?
ask anything that's on their mind. Like,
Yeah.
oh, is that your
People are just
daughter?
very
Oh, is
open.
that, there are no filters. No filters.
I do have a question if anybody else had a question first. Can I ask? Okay, so my husband's asking like grocery stores. So obviously we're used to Costco. We're used to all that stuff, which I'm actually okay with getting rid of. But do you have to hop to different stores to get different things, or how does that work? Because I know in Jerusalem, I have friends that live there. They go to the shuk for vegetables and things like that. But I mean, I don't know if they have that. They obviously probably don't have that in Afula. So like, how does that work?
I bet there's a shuk in Afula.
I bet there is too.
Yeah,
But I will
okay, that's
say
nice.
the major supermarkets, which is like a Rami Levy has better prices, and then there's Super Sol, and there are other supermarkets that have everything: a meat section, produce section, milk section, fish section. You get everything there. And it did take me a while to figure out the supermarket as well. But there's everything there. You'll get used to it. Another great thing to know, if you know how to use Google Maps. Google Maps is great. You just put in Afula, put in Rami Levy, it'll bring you up to the closest one. Osherad is kind of like the Costco of Israel. Put in Afula, destination Osherad. If you don't have a car right away, see if there's a public transportation that will get you there, or maybe it's worth a few people going together and paying for the taxi ride. I think there's one in Hadera. I don't know how far that is, maybe an hour or so. So you can get everything in the supermarket.
Yeah.
Wine, appliances, clothing, towels, you name it, it's in the supermarket.
Yeah, everything's in the grocery store. The grocery store is not just a plain grocery store. It has all kinds of other stuff too. But yeah, you can do a one-stop shopping.
You can get your Arba Minim there too if you want.
But that's true.
Yes,
That's
yes,
true.
yes.
You can buy your Arba Minim there.
Even the Taimani ones, they have. They're huge.
Yes.
Also, I want to add, you can do online shopping, and it's going to be a little overwhelming if you don't speak Hebrew that well. But if you do it on your computer and go into Chrome and just translate the whole page, maybe for like the first week or two, it might just be good, just helpful. You'll figure out milk, or maybe it won't be helpful right away. Maybe it'll be too confusing. But online shopping is great as well, especially if you don't have a car, and you probably won't right away.
And remember,
Thank you.
if you get stuck in the grocery store, just ask anybody for help.
Yep. Two things. At the grocery store checkout, they will have a number of products on display, and they will always try to sell them to you. If you want them, fine, get them. If not, not. But they will always have like a number of different products, whatever they are, and they always ask you what you want. That's one thing. Another thing is they will ask you if you want tashlum. How do they say it?
Oh, tashlumim.
Tashlumim. If you want to divide your payment over a number of months at one time, because a lot of times, unfortunately, people have to spread out their payment for their groceries as well. You just say no, echad or one, or no, thank you. What was the other thing? I think that's it.
They also try to push you to sign up for their credit card
That was,
and just
that's
say,
number 3.
no, you
No.
don't want, I mean, unless you want it, but if you don't, you just tell them no and walk away because they
And
won't
then you
stop.
say it again the next time you go shopping.
Right.
I do want to add about what Yitzchak said about tashlumim. So credit cards are a little bit different in Israel. It's not like you get your bill and you choose to pay $100 a month or $700 a month, whatever your bill is. It's you get your bill and the whole thing is paid at once. So you kind of only charge what you want to spend, basically. It's sort of like a debit card, but it's not immediate. It comes out of the account by the end of the month. So if you're going to do tashlumim, just remember your $400 shekel purchase is going to be spread out, however many months you want it for. And then there's interest and whatever eventually on that. So it's best if you are going to do payments to really only do it on like big purchases.
Yeah, I would say that for sure. I mean, when people do need like a big ticket item, think of it as like, credit.
Right. Oh, one last thing about the grocery store. The carts are like Costco carts, where all 4 wheels swivel.
Oh, God.
It's not an important thing. And plus you have your 5 shekel coin a lot of times to get the cart from the previous cart that's locked in next to it. But it's a bugger.
If you have a heavy cart, sometimes it's hard to make the turns.
Or an old one that you're fighting down the aisle.
Or the parking lot, or the parking lot's on an incline and turn around, your cart's gone.
People
I have a
also-
question.
Oh,
Oh,
one
no,
more
go
thing.
ahead, because
We'll
I
go
have a
back in.
different topic.
I feel like this
Go
is
ahead.
like a game show. Also, if you're there by yourself and you're checking out, the person behind you will unload your cart for you. Will ask you if you want help them, if they want you to help them unload their cart for you, and they will definitely unload your cart so that you can keep bagging your groceries and speed the process along. So
Well,
don't be
depends where
shy.
you are.
I offer this service to the people in front of me too. If I see that they're running behind and things and they got a whole stuff to bag, that I'll put their stuff on the conveyor belt.
Right. One of our
Days of
kids
somebody
has
bagging for
stories
you are
about-
over.
Huh?
What's that?
So, but the days of somebody bagging for you, like at the
Oh, yeah,
FD
that's
supermarket,
over.
those
Yeah,
days
that's
are
it.
behind you.
Oh, I
Yeah.
just want to, before you ask a question, I just want to add one last thing about the supermarket. Now, for going to a Fula, for those of you Fula, or wherever anyone's going, if you go to a major chain, Oshara doesn't do this, but like Rami Levy, Supersol, if you end up getting there by public transportation, you can have them just deliver it for like 15 shekels or however much it is, and you can take your bus back home. So that's another option to go shopping by bus and
Oh,
deliver it.
good.
Shoshana, you had a question before we take the cell phone question? Yeah.
I just wanted to know a little bit about the beyond the basic healthcare that everyone gets. What do people spend out of pocket? You could give me a range, and do you need private insurance on top of that? I know some people buy it. I don't know anything about it yet, though.
I can't answer that because we haven't needed that.
Yeah,
She-
we don't.
Like maybe if you have a medical
doctor.
issue or something that you need to tend to, then yeah, but Tikva, you know anything about this?
No, I'm a homeopath and I provide most of the healthcare for our family.
We found in general that the healthcare coverage here is pretty complete.
Yeah, now you might hear something like, oh, it takes 6 months to get an appointment for this or that. But if it's an emergency, you speak to your family doctor or your general practitioner, and they'll squeeze you in. They'll help find you an appointment.
Can I
for what
say
you
something
need.
about being up north? Is that what we noticed?
Oh yeah, you can go for it.
No,
Go for it.
it's super
Great.
fast. Like,
Yeah, maybe because it's a smaller area, but we've noticed we're getting appointments with specialists really quickly. Like, oh, next week there's an appointment. Wonderful. oh, there's something available today, even better.
I'm not sure why.
I don't
exactly.
know, maybe Jerusalem was like a busier area and there just wasn't a lot available, but here we're finding we're getting appointments pretty quickly.
Right, but it's something to get used to. I don't know what's like in America today, but it used to be in America, you used to, go to a specialist relatively quickly, right? It's something to get used to here, where you might find out that it'll be like today, they'll say, yeah, we'll have an appointment for you in May or something, you're like,
But there's something
Yeah.
called sharap, and I don't understand it very well, where I think you pay out of pocket and maybe you get reimbursed for that, but I can't really answer because I don't know so much of it. Okay, anything else about medical? Otherwise, we have a question here. Oh, Yocheved, that's you? Was that you who wrote asked the question? Cell phones, how do we know where to get one? Is this something we can get upon landing in Israel? I highly recommend you buying one in America. We do buy phones in Israel. I mean, this is a Samsung. It's the A series, which is a less expensive Samsung.
about 1,000 shekels.
It's about 1,000 shekels. I recommend, I think they're cheaper in America. So if you can, yeah, otherwise you eventually get used to it. One thing to know when you're getting a cell phone, I think it's called NFC. It's something that can read your RAV-COV, and your RAV-COV is what you go on the buses and trains with. So you can load them up from your phone. So make sure it has the NFC option on it. And my kids go to school, they give me their RAV-COV, I fill them up and they're good to go. Okay. I'm just gonna add a little something here because I don't know if everyone knows this, but a lot of people come to Israel, and whatever you were doing for work in the United States or wherever you're living, you can't exactly do that here, or it takes a while to get off the ground, or you can't find a job here. Misrad Klita will subsidize about 70% of career training. So if you want to use that time to do something new in your life, it's a great time. Yeah, it's a great time to do that and think about something you can do. You can get a course pretty much covered from Misrad Klita.
You did that.
I did that. I actually learned to do makeup and manicures and pedicures, which is a very big business here in Israel. And I was able to do it from home. It's actually a big deal here.
I had a customer who took a course to become a ceramics instructor so that they could make money teaching students.
That's wonderful, right? You can do anything.
There's the Ola Hadash who used to be a woman. She used to be a Thai boxer, and she got this certificate to be a some sort of trainer or something. But yeah, they'll train you to do something where you can make money from it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there are trade schools as well as universities.
I always think, I don't know how long the training is, but plumbers and electricians are always needed.
I feel like what I do is something I could bring up also.
Mhm.
Yeah, so high tech, you guys might already know, in Israel is quite a big thing, right? So I happen to be involved in business development for a high tech company out of Jerusalem.
These are popular jobs here in Israel.
Yeah, so business development is something that it seems to be it can be a very well paying job, relatively speaking, here as well. And what a lot of the Israeli companies need is they need somebody who could be articulate and speaking in English to American prospects in America. So it's actually, again, it's something that, you could really break into. You could use your skills of being able to talk and be able to connect with people. And, you could work from home often as well, especially after Corona. A lot of these companies have gotten used to the idea of people working from home. So that's something to look up and to consider, business development for high tech.
And David works from 3 till about 9 or 10. I think for us, it works. For a new Olim, I think it might work too, especially if you have little kids, you help them out to school in the morning, you end up not going to bed too late. You're there for them when they get back from school and you're around. So that could work.
Just as long as you have a place at home that's quiet, basically.
I know the two main concerns are housing and jobs for Olim. So some of you already sorted out the housing part. That's great. And then jobs, I don't know, maybe you did, maybe you didn't.
I know that Sunday's a regular day of the week there for work. What are Fridays like?
Fridays
Day
are
off,
pretty much off.
but kids have school. Some kids, Some, depending where you live in the country, ninth grade and up are off school on Fridays. It's a busy day. You go to the mall, it's so exciting. Like you feel like Shabbat is on its way. There's fresh challah at all the bakeries, and there's suddenly all this like food that's popped up, like ready-made food for Shabbat. You'll see everyone you know there at the mall on Friday morning. It's pretty exciting.
You have a question?
I think
This is for Dina, her question. that
I
she
think the
typed?
NFC, because I know when I bought my phone, I specifically asked for it. I don't know, but I think it's on the phone. So I don't know. It's like a card reader. I'm not sure. I don't even know what it stands for.
It's not QRC, right? It's NFC?
I think it's NFC. I'm gonna just look that up right now. I think it's just something that you would have that's on the phone, but I'd have to look it up.
That looks like it. Yeah.
Near field communication.
Huh.
Okay.
Maybe.
I think it's something
It
in the
scans
phone.
it scans the card.
It can scan the card.
You actually take the card and put it on your phone, I think, right?
Yeah, and it reads our Ravkov, and then when I pay for it with a credit card and I place the
probably-
card back on it, it reads it.
It's
and
probably the
loads
same
it.
technology that they use today to read credit cards when you do a checkout or something. I think.
Oh, speaking about credit cards at checkout, when they ask you if you have Wi-Fi, all that means these 3 little Wi-Fi looking lines on your credit card, so you can just like put it on top, touch it to the to their reader, and that's it. They call it Wi-Fi here. They're not asking if you use the internet at home or not. Okay, so anybody else want to ask anything?
Hi,
Okay.
Paulina.
Hi.
Coming?
We're coming from 5 towns, actually.
Well, stopping grounds. We're from Far Rockaway, by the way.
Oh, okay. So you know the area well. I really enjoy homeopathy, and I wanted to know how popular is it in Israel, because not only I like to use it, I want to practice it myself.
There's
Yeah,
quite a
Tikva, is that
Tikva,
something?
this has you all over it. Yeah. What do you say?
Well, medicines for your stock are readily available throughout the country. Homeopaths work throughout the country, and it's fairly popular. When people came here from places like Germany, they came, some of them were homeopaths. And so there's been a long history of homeopathy here in this country.
Do you need to get credentials for it?
No, not really. I mean, you can join the society if you want to.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good to know. So did you learn somewhere, or did you just pick it up yourself?
I've been a homeopath for more than 30 years. So, I learned way, way back when.
Wow.
I mostly
Good.
teach, if that helps you.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, when people, this has nothing to do with Aliyah. I'll just real quick. What I do is that there are people around the world who have not learned the fundamental basics of homeopathy to the point where they feel that they can practice. And so I have an organization where we offer mentorship and learning on an ongoing basis in order to help people get their skills better. And so they feel more confident and produce better results.
I would definitely be interested in that, for sure. Thank you.
You have to unplug. Can you turn on? Yeah,
There you go.
there you go.
1 second. So what's the best way to fly with your homeopathy? Like as far as the EMFs and the x-rays and all that?
Basically, you have to make your own Faraday case and stick it in your luggage.
So what I do is whenever I travel is I put all my stock into large Ziploc bags. And then when I approach the checking belt area, I say, I need this to be hand checked. And then they just check it by hand and then hand it back to me after I've cleared through the security. And you also need to do that when you go through the train. you know, you need to put your, whatever you're traveling with, if you're gonna travel with a basic kit or something through the train station, you want to put that in your pockets and not through your backpack to go through the x-ray machine.
We're talking about large scale, like if you want to bring everything that you have, which is going to be either in the lift or underneath, because there's going to be a lot more than just carry on.
Send it in your shipment then.
You what?
Send it with your shipment.
I'm saying, do you have to encase it in aluminum foil or anything like that?
Oh.
Oh, going through your shipment, it should be okay. And I wouldn't, you know, the conveyor belt at the airport and the train is where I'd be concerned.
Right. I'm just saying transporting the you know, obviously the large bulk of everything that we have to Israel. You know, worrying about the, I guess, you know, the X-ray machines and everything else like that. Do they submit your lift to an X-ray machine that can go ahead and deactivate any of the pellets? Is what basically we're asking.
Almost never.
Really?
Almost
Okay.
never.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
But on the plane, the best thing to do is a carry-on?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
I hope everyone found this helpful. You know, if we could answer even one question, I think we, you know, that was good enough for us. Anyone has anything else they want to add or?
Yep, we've made it through the other side and so can you.
I mean, we're
Thanks.
finding a lot of from people what they feel, you know, what we can offer them for advice about making Aliyah. I'd love to get some people's perspective about why they're considering Aliyah or what's it like, you know, from their perspective, looking towards moving to Israel right now. If anybody wants to just share, I would just love to hear that.
Okay. We will. But one other question, just as a general forum question. How many, again, if you want to call it percentage of the family, how many of you made Aliyah with children who are already post-secondary education, basically over 18 years old? And how many of those children were over 18?
We brought 3 teenagers, one 19-year-old, one 17-year-old, and one 13-year-old. And then we have a 7-year-old.
Wow.
So we came
Okay.
with 3 teenagers.
They settled, they acclimated, they're good.
How did they take to the new land, new language, and the like? How did they acclimate?
Oh, they loved it. They really loved it. My eldest, he started into a Hesder yeshiva, and he was given a guy who speaks English and to sit with him and learn with him. And they learned, you know, it was a back and forth thing, learning English and learning Hebrew, you know, with his chaverta all day. And that worked great. And with my girls, it was fine as well. They went into what's called the Opana Religious Girls High School. And most of the girls spoke enough English. And of course, you know, my children have been in, you know, Jewish school in America. And so it's not like they're like literally coming here learning how to, you know, read and write and things like that. And so, you know, they adapted fine. The people were nice. It was no problem. And my littlest, he was going into 2nd grade here. And you know, they gave him the help that he needed and whatnot. And the kids are all acclimated. I have one daughter who lives on a moshav, and she's an architect. Our eldest, after he finished his army, he went to Bar Ilan University, and he's an archaeologist. And our youngest, he's in yeshiva, a Hesder yeshiva in Haifa. That actually they have a lot of French olim in his yeshiva. And our second daughter, she's a stay-at-home mom right now, but she's like, you know, she's like a breastfeeding consultant, different stuff like that. And they learned how to do these things here in Israel.
Was there any angst or apprehension by the way of, you know, forward thinking, by way of, you know, potential parnasa and the like, going forward in somewhere that, I mean, obviously my kids, fortunately, are pretty financially savvy and the like. and they're looking at the tax rates and everything else like that, as opposed to those from Florida and the like on business tax and the like. And they're looking at it and they're putting they're running the numbers in their heads. I have a 20-year-old and a 19-year-old who are exceptionally entrepreneurial, and they're great fans of Shark Tank and the like. And they're wondering, can we do all of that kind of stuff in Israel?
They should be able to.
Mm-hmm. They should be able to.
All right. So basically, to sort of allay their fears, we can say that we've spoken to people who have been basically where we would potentially be should we make Aliyah, and say, okay, you know what? No, they made it. You don't have to be an astronomically wealthy individual making millions and millions of dollars in order to be able to live like a normal human being in Israel, essentially.
I want to add to that. A young adult coming to Israel, I think like that is the perfect time, actually. I mean, no, it's better if you brought them as a kid, but they're doing it on their own. They're probably making their own separate Aliyah, and they're going to be starting out their life here. They're going to be learning the language a lot quicker than you probably, unless you speak Hebrew already. They're going to really immerse themselves into the culture, and they're going to start like learning and getting a job the way the society here does. You're going to have a better understanding, and they're probably going to make a smooth transition. I think it's best, like Tikva said, her son went into a Hezir yeshiva. If you have a son or a daughter, to try to, not that they stay with you, but, let them go and find whatever group would be right. If it's a girl and she's going to do Shirut Le'mi, let her do that with other girls to meet other people her age, or a boy into Hesder, or, just something to help them find other people their age to try to, and there are a lot of Anglos as well, to just try to adjust better here in Israel.
But there are challenges.
Yeah, there are definitely challenges. I'm not saying there aren't. That's why I'm suggesting that if they not only just like live at home, but maybe try to find, I don't know how old your kids are, but try to find a group of their own age, maybe people understand them. And you'll find tons of English speakers throughout Israel. You'll find teenagers, you'll find 20s, you'll find them.
Yeah, only one of my kids married an English speaker.
All right. And they're all happy. That's the bottom line. Thank the good Lord. All right. Because they did have, when we were discussing this whole concept, and they're like, are we going to be able to make it financially? They have, obviously, they're dreaming big, obviously, but they want to know that they're not going to be, if you want to call it, reduced to a perpetual life of serfdom, so to speak, financially, that they're going to, have to be living from paycheck to paycheck, and they want to be able to, break out and make, so to speak, financially make it in life. Obviously, in Mir Hashem, for them raising their own families and the like, in Mir Hashem, when the time comes, it's just something that's on their mind. How and what, can they do in order to hedge their bets and better their chances of being able to, get ahead, so to speak, in life and live a decent life.
I think it's part of the anxiety.
Can I ask, first of all, what do they do in America? Is that something that they can do in Israel? Are they working your kids?
Oh, right now they're in yeshiva, but they're in their last years, basically, of yeshiva. Like I said, I have a 20-and-a-half-year-old and a 19-and-a-half-year-old, so to speak, and so they're already thinking, what's going to happen when their tenure in yeshiva comes to an end, essentially.
Do they have a plan of what they would like to do? They do have, obviously they want, they're talking about using their TAP, Pell grants, Perkins loans and the like, in order to, give themselves a bedrock education for what they want to do, whatever it might be. And, trade school, I have one son who wants to be a pilot. He's already studying for his FAA certifications and the like. So, I mean, that's something that he wants to do. A couple of his friends are pilots already. They have their pilot's licenses. It's something he wants to do, whether it's going to be, as a parnas at some point in the game, or it's just, something to have under your belt. Another son,
the biggest concern, I think, for all of us really, but for the teens, they're starting out, they're starting out in life, but then there's that whole language and culture, which is new.
Work on your Hebrew.
So we came, when we made Aliyah, our oldest was 9.5. She's 18 now. She's going to be starting Shrut Lumi in September.
She's got accepted
She
in
just-
a great place.
She just got accepted in a hospital in Petah Tikva. We're very proud of her. But I understand what you're asking. It's a big change for them. And on one hand, they are better off being young and just immersing themselves into the culture. And at that age, I think young adults at that age are curious and interested in what's going on around them. They're not, I think I can't say for sure, but I feel like they are in a good position where they can meet somebody in this new culture, where they can adjust to the new culture, learn and get a job in this culture. I feel like it is, the better off at 20 than coming at 35. It will still be difficult, though. I'm not saying it won't be.
It seems like there's always opportunities wherever you go.
Mhm.
Yes, that's one of the things that we were thinking, is that it's better younger.
I guess one other question, obviously coming from a capitalist society, you want to speak in which, quote unquote, the American dream is that, anybody can technically make it if they, if they try hard enough, so on and so forth. Does if you want to call it the governmental tax structure or the way in which the financials are geared in Israel, we've heard from other people that it makes it slightly more prohibitive for entrepreneurs to, so to speak, break out. And if they have a really good idea, that I guess you want to call it, the financial structure, the tax structure makes it more burdensome or cumbersome for people who want to try and do their own thing to get ahead? Is it more difficult to start a business as opposed to just, going online and forming your own LLC for $125 in our state? At least that's what it is. And then have all the incentives for business development and growth that we have over here in America. Is that a concern? Is that something that is relevant as a concern? Does that happen? Or is that not really something you have to worry about so much?
Well, there's a couple of different aspects to that. For one thing is that the government is always running programs in order to give people more skills for things like business development. Like there's an organization called MATI, where you can take business classes and they will teach you the fundamentals of how to set up your business in this country. And another thing, as for, the taxes can be high here, but at the same time, you're paying, a fraction of what you are for education. And you're paying a fraction, just a mere fraction, for things like healthcare. So
Right, no,
that's
obviously
an
it's
important thing too.
If I could just say, because I did start my own business, small business, but still I'm an entrepreneur. I set it up through my accountant. It was just easier for me because of the language. It was not difficult to set up, not at all. He does my taxes for me. He set me up. There's no difficulty with that, but just know that you also will still have to continue paying taxes to the United States and file your taxes. And it is a little more complicated when you're self-employed. I don't know all the details. I don't know all the details give out, but something to look into. There are ways of getting around it and things that you can do. But in general, a lot of people are opening up their own businesses and starting their own things. So I'm not finding it that difficult.
If they don't feel the need to maintain their U.S. residence, their U.S. citizenship, it's around $2,500 to expatriate yourself.
Right.
But then you need a visa to go back and visit, and that might be a pain.
That's true.
It just depends upon people's. It just depends upon life, whether you need a visa or don't plan on going back very often, and to be paying, 15% of your annual income every year to a country that you have no affiliation with. That might be, an unnecessary burden.
Come back as a tourist.
Come back as a tourist.
But it is doable. So it is doable, even though it might be a little bit more labor intensive, so to speak, or a little bit more involved. But it is doable, and it's not something that they basically want to keep you, if you want to call it, I hate using the term indentured servitude, the so-called system, basically that you have the, more elitist, the balabat kind of thing, as I was told, that, oh, you're your business owner, it's like a big deal kind of thing, and you can actually go ahead, again, understandably so, obviously, if you're paying, someone's got to pay for the education. I grew up in Canada, so I mean, I understand the way in which it works, to that degree, that someone has to pay for the healthcare, somebody has to pay for, the educational services, and there's no free lunch basically, which I'm totally understanding and okay with, but to relegate people to just be workers as opposed to being owners, was just something that I know, like I said, my kids were very, very skeptical about when they did hear about, I guess, how maybe it was, 15, 20 years ago in Israel, that it was a big deal to start your own business or to maintain your own business, that people were basically expected to be workers. And if you were an owner, it was like a really, really big deal, like a big thing.
Tons of people own their own businesses now.
Okay,
It's
good.
pretty
All right,
common.
thank you.
Mhm.
Great. All right, well, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we have a neighbor, she cooks, makes traditional foods for Shabbat, and she has like this little, little room off of her house where she cooks, and people come up on Fridays and they pick up their orders. And, the Rabbanut comes and makes a spot check on their place every once in a while. People do all kinds of things.
So basically, it's changing from what it was like 20 or 30 years ago.
I think so.
We know plenty of American electricians, plumbers, handymen, dentists, everything really. Photographers.
All righty. Well, thank you. I think we're gonna go. We're good? Okay. All righty. I guess no more questions in that case.
Okay. Look forward to meeting you all in Israel one day.
Thanks.
Pleasure.
Great. Thank you. Helpful.
Okay,
All right.
great.
So,
I'm glad
thank
that you got help from this. We aim to assist you guys.
Thank
Thanks a
you very
lot.
much. It was very informative.
Good.
Good luck, everyone, on your Aliyah.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
How do I
Bye-bye.
get in touch with you though about homeopathy?
Are you on the, okay, David posted his WhatsApp chat.
Yep.
For
Yes, we
Aliyah
put the
Network there
Aliyah
in the
Network
chat bar.
WhatsApp. She's
Right.
was on
You
there.
just find me there and then you can send me a message.
Okay, I joined. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so
Alright.
join David's thing, guys.
I just
David
did.
and
Yes,
Marcy have their Aliyah Network. Join it.
absolutely. Will do. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
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 Thank you, Paulina. Thank you, guys. Yaakov, thank you. Take care.